I'm Kirt Silver, and this is Maritime Inc. So we're in Elmsdale, Nova Scotia, in my shop, which is Silver City Tattoos. I was taking a hairstyling course because I was a hairstylist at the time, and I was really not enjoying it anymore. It was something I was just like, it's not for me. I wanted to be able to draw and create art. So I started to tattoo a little bit on the side, and I met my wife at this course. She asked me why I was taking it, and I said I was just taking it to kind of get a fire back to see if I could continue in hairstyling, regain an interest in it. And she said, well, what are you really interested in doing? Kind of gave me the deep question. And I said, well, to be honest, I've always been an artist and I'd really like to tattoo. It was something I kind of thought about since 10 when I seen my first tattoo. And she was just kind of like, well, you should go after what you love. And that was sort of the beginning of it. And I got an opportunity to get an apprenticeship and did that and started tattooing out of our living room. and went from there and turned into Silver City. Hey man, how you doing?
How you doing? Good.
Ready for this?
Oh yeah.
Come on back. I was underage, so don't do this at home. I was 14, and there was a guy tattooing in an apartment below me who had a homemade machine. And I got tattooed a Winnie the Pooh tattoo at that era that says my age because everybody was getting, of course, just a coloring book trace of a comic book character. So that was my first one, and that's how I got it. Seeing it at about 10 years old on my uncle and stuff, and being into art, the idea of something being on, a person permanently, like an art that I could do, that someone would wear around everywhere, that would last their lifetime, I found that just very appealing. And kind of from there, I always looked into, into tattooing everywhere I'd go. I'd look in a tattoo magazine and get kicked out because at that time you weren't allowed to. They were basically pornography. They were up high and in with everything else. And I'd get caught kind of looking in there at the tattoos and get kicked out. So I've just always admired it and I always thought it'd be great to have one of these. And so that was the desire to have one, I guess, since I was 10. My mom was very much like behind it because my mom was always, you go do what you're going to do. I believe in you. My dad maybe struggled a little bit with it, culturally, at first. He would say, no, I always believed in you. But there was a little like, oh, you got a tattoo and, and that's what you want to do for a living. But as soon as he seen, me doing something with that and knowing that I found something that makes me happy and that I really wanted to focus on, he was 100% behind that. So at that point, I guess it was still seen as underground. So because of that, to have that industry, it was put with underground. So the magazines, knowing that, come out with, their magazines were not just tattoo magazines, they were tattoo/biker magazines. So they had bikes in it and girls with topless, posing with bikes and tattoos. So it was mixed in that genre. And, as it's evolved due to, I think mainly TV showing that there's another side to this, just the enjoyment of having a tattoo doesn't make you something. So that changed the market and they were able to kind of separate in some way and have another market that showed tattooing as an art form. And that's what it is today, seen that way. So I've actually never had really any formal training other than grade 9 art. So grew up very poor and my parents didn't really even have money for art supplies. So my mom would bring home from her work just cardboard boxes that were like white paper. She worked at McDonald's and she'd be bringing these home and I would draw on those and, draw and paint on those. And my parents really encouraged art. They were never like, you need to do something real, or they just always seen that as a talent I had and really encouraged it. And so I had lots of support in art as, and then in tattooing. And my parents actually still have one of these old cardboard drawing things I had done. So yeah, I really always had lots of support from home. Probably most people would say right away that, Kirt's always like, oh man, show me your tattoo. Because again, like you spend hours on this tattoo and then you let it go out the door and you never see it. So on like a painting I would do and maybe keep at home and enjoy, and eventually become, I'm bored of it. It's just a painting on my wall. This art I rarely get to see. So every time I get to see it, I'm excited to see it again. So yeah, it feels good that they chose me to be their artist because there was lots of selection. There's lots of phenomenal artists now in Halifax alone in this area in Nova Scotia. So to be chosen by that person that you were their guy to do their tattoo is awesome. That feels amazing. And like I say, I'm just as excited to see it when they visit or when I see them out, you know. So, you know, a lot of times it starts with me doing a study of the subject I'm going to work in. If I'm doing it in like an Asian, traditional Asian style, I'm going to study that subject a little bit, or definitely what they want. If they're like, I want a koi, I want to know what it means and what direction it needs to go and kind of the rules, right? I'm really flexible in what I like. You know, as a tattoo artist, I enjoy vibrant color. I enjoy realistic, you know, black and gray portraiture. I think I'd have to say my favorite is never doing the same thing over and over. You know, having that variety in my week, and where I'm at now, where I do have a variety in my week. You know, from it within those styles. So I don't necessarily have a favorite. I think my favorite thing is actually just getting to tattoo and getting to do different things with that. I think that may be my favorite thing about tattooing in general, that it's never the same all the time, you know? It's just kind of conversations back and forth and shooting ideas at each other until it's like, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, what if you did this with it? Like, and I might come up with a concept and then show Dan, and then Dan, like he said, like, what if her face was kind of half a skull? I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm like, oh, I'll give it a try. And we do it, and he's like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm like, all right. So it's kind of, you work, like I said, you're working back and forth with your client who's suggesting things, and you know, you're suggesting things, and then you have something. So like I say, I'm pushed as an artist because of that. I think the big one with tattoo culture, if someone would ask me what it was about, I would explain it as an art form. If people were to ask me, probably the most common question people ask is, I hear it's addictive if they don't have one themselves. I hear it's addictive. What does that mean, or what makes it addictive? I would then refer it to something they're familiar with. I'll say, well, what are you into? What do you collect? And if they said, well, you know, I'm into my car and I like to put parts on my car and you try to make it faster and whatever. And I said, well, it's similar to that. We get one tattoo and it's like, then we love that and we love what the feedback from that. And then we just feel like, well, this feels empty and I want another one. So it's like that. It's the same. It's something we enjoy. It's something we share with others. It's something we collect. We don't do it because we enjoy the pain. It's not a weird, addiction in that sense. The addiction is in the sense of meaning like you just want to grow that collection of art.
I got my first one, honestly, because one of my best girlfriends had some tattoos on her, and I just thought it looked really cool, and I thought it'd be something different to get into, and I was a rebellious 15-year-old, so I went and got one done. My first tattoo was a lower back tattoo. So it's kind of like classic tribal squiggles. I'm not going to say the tramp stamp phrase, but that's what society calls it. I'm interested in having tattoos just because I've always had an interest in the art world. Like, I really like seeing different designs, and I really find it interesting to see it on people's bodies and just see it as a form of expression, really. When people see my tattoos, it's different reactions. I have anywhere from kind of people feel intimidated, some people are so interested and welcome to it, so it's kind of all different reactions in society these days, but I find it's mostly welcoming and positive. So I have tattoos on me for all kinds of different reasons. Like, some of them, honestly, I was just a fan of the artwork and I really wanted it on me. Some of them cover up scarring that I have on me because I was a very clumsy child. So it's kind of nice to see something more positive on your skin. Yeah, just kind of have them up for all different reasons, but they're always something that I want. I have a couple favorite tattoos. I mean, it's really hard to pick them, but I have one on my leg. It's a poem that my grandmother used to read to me when I was little. So it's like one about crows, so it kind of symbolizes like good luck, and she always had that background where like if she saw 2 crows, it was gonna be a good day. So it's kind of like a tribute piece, so it's definitely one of my favorites. So my tattoo style, I mean, like pretty much the way that my tattoo artist describes it is kind of like, sort of like photorealistic in a sense. Like, I really just like having tattoos that have like detail to it, but minimal color. I'm not really, for me personally, I don't really commit to a whole lot of color because I just can't make up my mind. There's just too many to choose from, so I like having color accents in my work. If I can sum up what my tattoos mean to me, I would say that they mean positivity, they mean happiness, they mean expression. So I like them. Do I have any tattoos? I wish I could. Yes, I definitely had a couple tattoos that were rather impulsive that I got done when I was younger. So it can happen. You can definitely regret them, but just, learn from it, grow from it, make a decision. You can either keep them or cover them. It always hurts. But at the end of the day, it's just all about your tolerance, and not everything in this world is pain-free. It's always a bit of a sacrifice, but it's worth it in the long run. When I look in the mirror in the morning and see my tattoos, I think I look good and I feel really confident. I really like them. Oh, do I have plans for another tattoo? Always, always. As long as there's canvas available, I'll be getting it done. So why not?
It was an email to me, and I probably can make a book out of emails I've gotten that were like, wow, I'm just gonna leave this one where it is. It was a good 2-3 page written email about a lady who was told by aliens to get tattooed by me, this particular thing, and that I was going to tattoo it, and it was very interesting. And it wasn't probably what she asked to get tattooed as much as the story behind it was really like, wow. Human nature seems to be, till now, it typically seemed to be like, how do I stand out unique and how do I be different? So tattoo became that at first, like, oh, I'm going to stand out, I'm going to be unique, I'm going to be different. And now you go, well, you don't stand out because everybody's got a tattoo. You could say it now makes you less unique, but they don't care because now it's about them. They're getting the tattoo for themselves, and the tattoo is a way identifying themselves or a moment in time or whatever. So it's no longer about standing out and being different or being unique. It's a way of expressing yourself. People want their stuff customized. They don't want flash like they used to, where it was already pre-drawn and they would pick from it. Now they want to come with the ideas, not necessarily to say, oh, I want something that's never been done, but they want that idea, like a tiger has been done a million times, a rose has been, but they want it done fresh and creatively done so that it's not a copy of something else. So yeah, it's become a little more custom, less fad-based, where it was like flash that you would see repetitively done. But as far as how it's changed for me and what I do as an artist from the beginning to now would be doing less smaller tattoos and flash-based to going a little bit larger and custom work. I think the reasoning on why my art evolves so much and why a tattoo artist has this avenue to evolve is because we have clients coming in with constant ideas and different things outside of maybe our element that we go after. So that being said, like I probably started out a little bit more like black and gray art and a little more maybe Japanese or traditional, and then have clients saying, well, I want this, so, a dog portrait or something different. That I guess you're just pushing yourself as an artist always to do something a little different. And I found I never really found one form of art where I was like, oh, this is where I'm just going to stay and excel in. I really wanted to work to get as good as I could at something, and I would just find myself driven to move further and do something else. So I don't think there is a good and bad to one or the other. You probably have met other artists they do one style and they do it very, very well, and then you meet artists who are a little more well-rounded. I think I fall in the category due to my clientele that I became a little more well-rounded as an artist. I think there are definitely disadvantages to being in a smaller area and advantages to being in a smaller area. I would say the advantage would be I was the only tattoo shop in town, of course, because it's not a large town and it's growing quickly. So that was an advantage. Disadvantage, probably not as much opportunity, again, because less people around. But it did give me that opportunity to grow as an artist and to do that without the overhead cost of the city. And to have gone from trying to create a business in a small town to being recognized as a tattoo artist globally has been, there's a lot of work there, but it's also, what we do is very visual. So if you can get it seen, then it gets noticed and people come to where you are to get it done. And therefore, I think I get to stay a little more on the custom side of things, where I'm not driven to just have to pay the bills as much at the beginning, especially. It's a lot of behind the scenes, like learning how to do things that I necessarily didn't do before, or maybe wasn't thinking that I would get into, like marketing, for instance. You're not necessarily looking for someone to market me, but learn how to market yourself, and taking opportunities that exist that are coming as things change, like with the internet, with Instagram and things like that. So I would find opportunities to do an interview online with like an online tattoo magazine, and kind of do that, take that time to do that, and be staying up late some nights because of the time difference and doing a phone call. And, you know, every opportunity sort of led to the next, and then that one led to the next. And then it came to the point where I was going after trying to find opportunity to where opportunity came to me and asked if I would be interested in getting involved. So, you know, if that's what you want in your career, like you know, you can be successful as a tattoo artist and make a business for yourself and a name locally for yourself without having to do that. But I like to set goals and kind of keep pushing. And at the beginning of my career, I used to get a lot, everybody thinking I was from the US. They'd say, oh, you must be in the United States, though. And I'd be like, no, I'm actually right here by the Halifax airport, about 5 minutes away from that. I mean, really? I just wanted to show that as a Canadian, we can have that same impact. I think we fall to the belief that sometimes we can't have that reach as a Canadian. And for me, that was something I just wanted to be able to do and stay Canadian true at the same time.
The first tattoo that I got when my mother passed away is a blue jay representing my mother, and it's holding a breast cancer ribbon because she passed away from breast cancer, with my children's names on top for the grandkids, looking over her at all times. And I chose to get a tattoo to memorialize my mom at first, and I always wanted something just to remember her, and it's permanent. It was one that I got just for myself. No one else could see it unless I chose to show it. My other two tattoos are more recent. We lost our son Brian to leukemia at 7.5, so I wanted to represent him in two tattoos. Brian was a very energetic child, ran everywhere, even through the hospital during his treatment and journey through leukemia, and loved cats. So we went with a cheetah as his character. So I have a cheetah on my calf. In the IWK, they have what's called bravery beads. For every procedure, process, needle, they would get a bead. So it's a cheetah with the bravery beads around his neck. And the other one is it's his autograph, actually taken from his schoolwork. He was in grade 2, so I got it off his schoolwork, put on my wrist inside an angel wing. I've learned that tattoos actually tell a story. So both of them are visible. Still can be hidden if I want to, but they're visible, and then people ask questions, and then you can actually keep his memory alive through that conversation. It's amazing the conversations that start from seeing the tattoo. I was actually with, just for an example, our VPs from Arizona came, and we were having lunch at a meeting, and they noticed my tattoo on my wrist. Oh, and what's that? And it started a conversation. And the rewarding part is sometimes people shy away, but a lot of times people don't, and they really want to hear the story. Yeah, I was over 40 when I got my first tattoo, and never would have thought of getting a tattoo. And even when I got my first one, I remember the tattoo artist saying, once you get one, you will get another one. And I'm like, no, this is it. This is all I'm going to get. And now I have 3, and I'm thinking about a 4th. The next tattoo I want is actually, it's going to be of Brian. I have a picture that I took before he got sick, and he's holding a stick up in the air. And he was a super Star Wars fan, so I want to turn that into a Jedi pose, for example, holding a lightsaber. But I've been apprehensive just because it is a facial, and I want it to be perfect. It's funny, the one that means the most is the one that's on my wrist, and it's his autograph. And I'll be having a bad day, or I'll be out for a run, and I just need that extra push, and I will actually look and touch the tattoo or just see it, and it gives me that little boost of energy.
There's a back piece out there on the wall. You might have seen a black and gray one. Yeah, that spine and everything. I marked that all on. It took me 3 hours to draw it on her back, and then I think it was about 5 hours to outline the whole thing. And then I just brought her back in and worked at it like this once it was outlined. Every award's always, honestly, it's humbling, because you know what you're going up against. So when you get an award, you feel fortunate. When you don't get an award, you don't feel bummed, because the quality of art that you're generally competing against is admirable as well. And I'm just as happy that that they're winning and they're doing well. It's something I think if you compete, for me, my attitude is I compete to show and put on display my work, and to win an award for it is to be able to say I'm an award-winning artist. I'm able to do something that is recognized and where it stands. So yeah, it feels great. I feel good, and I'm humbled to compete, because you get humbled too when you don't always win. I think a lot of people think, oh, you draw for a living. That must be amazing. It is, but as an artist who likes to create, you get like artistically burned out as well, because you're tattooing, then you go home and you draw, then you tattoo and you go home and you draw. So with this job, you don't go home and have home. You go home and you have your job still. So you're trying to fit in your family, and but at the same time create a drawing that is better than your last drawing. You're always trying to do something better and bigger, and you got to do that every night and then come back with that in the morning. So that's the thing I say. A lot of people think I can draw, I can tattoo. It's definitely harder to tattoo than it is to draw. I always give the equivalent. It's like someone giving you a carrot and some ink and say, oh, go paint. It's so foreign and so weird that it seems impossible. Tattooing's like that, making that transition. So that's hard. The technique between drawing and tattooing is very different. And the fact that we have to draw all the time. People are like, oh, you get to draw. It is great, but we do have to do it every day, all the time. Weekend comes, I know I got 2 drawings I have to be ready to go for the beginning of the week. And so yeah, that's the hard part of tattooing. I really enjoy the sitting down, just this, like talking with the client. I feel like I'm encouraged constantly, learning stories, learning about people, learning about myself. I think that's awesome. And yeah, getting to create, getting to do what I feel is natural to me, getting to create and get my art out there and get to have that worn around and hear people come in and so excited that everywhere they go, people stop them and ask, who did your tattoo? And oh my gosh, can I take a picture? That's pretty cool. That doesn't happen with a painting, because it's sitting in someone's living room and never gets seen. So the fact that my art is getting carried around and getting shared and that person gets to come and tell you how they feel about that, that's pretty amazing. I've always set goals within my career. I've been tattooing now 16 years. And probably every year I made one goal that I was going to attain within that year, whether it be to work to be involved with this company or to have been, in a magazine and then to have done this or this. And I've always worked and achieved it. And I think I'm in a place where I'm finally like kind of reaping the benefits of the work. So I feel like I am backing away a little bit from the marketing side of myself and starting to invest more into myself artistically. So where I see myself in the next 10 years, or 5-10 years, hopefully growing as an artist, hopefully breaking boundaries of something I thought I wouldn't maybe be able to do as an artist. I think those are my goals now. Yeah.